Good evening. Happy Wednesday. Hopefully, it is a happy Wednesday for you. Hopefully, you are safe. Greetings to the 12 tribes of Israel scattered to the four corners of the earth. Greetings to those who, though not be the bloodline of the 12 tribes, are seeking to be grafted into that olive tree in spirit and in truth. Greetings to those who are tired of the oppression, the violence, the corruption of this world. Greetings to all who seek righteousness and truth for the glory of the Creator. Greetings to all of you from the Father Yah and from Messiah Yahushua. Greetings to those who are in the chat. Let me see, Drake and you, Junior. Greetings to you. As many of you probably also have happened to you in this age of the social media, which is, I've been calling it the information age. Good evenings, David. I've been calling it information age, which I believe it is for the last 20 years. In this age, you often, especially in social media, Instagram, Periscope, Twitter, YouTube, and many other platforms, I get friends of mine, brothers and sisters of mine in the faith, and even people I don't know will send, from time to time, they'll send videos, some long, some short, and they always want you to look at the videos. Most of them feel like it's very important that you look at the videos. There are some people that I'm closer to than others, like everyone else. I have some brothers and sisters that are in the faith of the Hebrew Messiah, like myself. And so when one of them really sends me something, I usually take it more seriously. And so this one sister sent me a video this week, and I looked at it. It was a long one. In fact, I'm going to talk to you about 3 videos, which I posted in the description below, which you'll see the links to. This video, there's been many things that have caused me to really pray. I mean, right now in this time of my life, I don't know about you, but I'm finding myself praying a lot more, and for basically for an end to the way this world system is. In this video, it showed, even in this day and age in which we live, some people that are in the Dominican Republic. They're mostly Haitian people in the Dominican Republic. And these people work for multi-millionaires who own sugarcane plantations in this day and age. And these people work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, for $2 a week. Let me say that again. They work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, for $2 a week. And they're not allowed to eat. They're not allowed to eat until after the end of the workday. And they're not allowed to plant food near the huts that they live in by order of the owner of the plantation. This is in our generations now. And if they get hurt, they just get hurt. There's no medical treatment available to them. How they were found is some Americans went over there, and I don't know how they happened to find them or run into them. And these people and actually, they are actually owned by the person that owns the plantation. This is now where we live in this day and age. And they talked about in the video how many billions and billions of dollars the sugar industry, is, right? And there was one man, the equipment they work with is faulty. The one piece of equipment they have is a machete. Okay. And then they have machines that they throw the sugarcane in. And sometimes their hands get caught in the machine. Sometimes machines blow up. One man lost both his eyes when the machine blew up, and he still had to work blind. Okay, this is in this day and age in which we live. They showed the owner of the plantation, and the owner denied that his workers, he didn't deny he had workers. He said they're not mistreated. They're very happy, he said. They're very well treated. And he denied any report, even in the face of video. And they spent most of the video trying to explain to him how bad his workers were being treated. And he spent most of the video denying it, which is a smokescreen. It's obvious he knows what his workers are dealing with. This man lives in mansions. He has houses in Dominican Republic, in Florida, and other places. Shalom. And his workers, you can see they have children sometimes, and the children and the adults' teeth are rotten out because mostly what they eat is sugarcane, because with the $2 they get a week, it's not enough to buy food for the family. Okay. And in fact, oftentimes there is a market and they're placed in debt. All this sounds very familiar if you're a descendant of a slave. Because I know my family were sharecroppers in Florida, my great-grandmother, and they went through this. You're in continual debt. You don't have enough to eat. If you get hurt, it's on you. And somebody's getting rich. So then I thought, first of all, I was enraged. I was enraged as anyone would be that has a heart, right? And I got on my knees and I began to pray for the destruction of this whole world corrupt system. For how can we live so comfortably and people are living like that on other parts of the world that had no control over where they're born or what they're born into? And I felt helpless because I couldn't do anything about it. So then I decided there must be other places like that. It can't be the only place on earth, right? If you're being real. Well, I did some investigating on my own, and I just did some Google searching. And there are places like that in Vietnam, in Thailand, in the Philippines, in various places of West Africa, in India, and in other places where people are treated just like that. So we can have sugar. You see, my ignorance, I thought that once slavery was over in the Caribbean, where Jamaica and Cuba, were big sugar producers, that that kind of thing was over. No, it exists right now. Then for some reason I continued researching. And I wanted to know, for some reason, I just wanted to know about coca and chocolate, where chocolate comes from. And do you know that in West African nations of Ghana, Nigeria, and others, there are places just as bad as the place I just described to you in the Dominican Republic. In fact, there was a man that worked 12 hours to 18 hours a day, 7 days a week in a coca plantation. Okay? And he had never tasted chocolate because they're not allowed to have the product. Just like they even, at least in the Dominican Republic, they let the people eat the sugar cane. These people couldn't even have the chocolate cocoa beans, or the chocolate that come off the trees, the fruit. They couldn't have it. So when some people found this man that had worked for 30 years on this farm, they gave him a piece of chocolate. And for the first time in 30 years working there, he actually realized, he actually tasted what he was working for somebody to get rich off of. The chocolate industry. And then I realized that these were just two industries of many where people are treated like this on the planet. And again, I felt helpless like you would. I mean, you want to save all of these people. You want to do something. I wish I could go to Dominican Republic and take them all out of there and rescue them all and help them, train them so that they can be skilled in something else and live a better life. I wish I can go to West Africa and deliver people from the slavery they're in, but I can't. I can't. I'm busy in this system myself trying to survive. And whatever little bit of dollars I could possibly give them, I'm sure would not reach them, for somebody would steal it en route. Such is the corruption we live on the planet. And so I began to wonder, what does the Bible say about this? Well, of course, as you know, it would say a lot. It says a lot about it, right? So let's take a look at some of the things it says about it. First off, it's like, and I thought about it, it's like this whole world system is built on a lie. I mean, if you want to be honest, it's built on a lie. The whole world system, this whole economic system is built on a lie. And I thought, like, like if you or I, met somebody, like say we were single and we were getting married, right? We met somebody we fell in love with, right? And we wanted to marry that person, and we did marry that person, right? We married that person and we thought we was going to be happy. But then after we married the person, we found out that everything that person told us about themselves was a lie. That everything that person really was came out later, and we were already married to it. What would you do if you met a person and every single thing, where they grew up, how they grew up, who they were, where they worked, where they went to school, what their friends, everything was a fake, a lie, and made up? What would you do? Because then you suddenly realize that you're married to somebody that you don't even know. And that's how I feel about this system. Because what you would do and what I would do in that situation, we would dissolve the marriage. We would destroy, we would dissolve it. Because it was built on a lie. Such is the case with this planet and the entire economic, political, and social system that we're in. It's built on a lie. Somebody might argue and say, there's some truth in it. Yeah, there's some truth in it. But if I had a pitcher of lemonade on a hot day and I just put 2 drops of cyanide in it, it's still mostly good lemonade, right? But it would still kill you. See, that's why I am hoping and praying for the Most High to bring forth his kingdom where there's no more lies. Notice again, let me start there. Revelation chapter 21. There's a couple of places here, obviously, but Revelation chapter 21. I'm going to begin at verse 1, and I'm going to read from verse 1 down to verse 8 to begin this off. Revelation chapter 21, from verse 1 to verse 8. Notice what it said. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from Yah out of heaven, adorned as a bride, prepared as a bride, adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, behold, the tabernacle of Yah is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and Yah himself shall be with them and be their most high. And Yah shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. And he that sat upon the throne said, behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, write, for these words are true and faithful. And he said to me, it is done. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. And I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of the water of life freely. He that overcometh shall inherit all things. And I will be his most high, and he will be my son. I'm sorry. But the fearful and unbelieving and the abominable and murderers and whoremongers and sorcerers and idolaters and all liars. All liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. This particular of all the promises of the Bible, and there are thousands of promises in the Bible, to me, this is the most precious one. To me, it's the most precious one. No more death. No more pain. I'm sorry. Revelation chapter 21. I'm going to continue. I'm going to skip down and go to verse 24. And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it. And the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it. And the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no night there. And they shall bring the glory and honor of the nations into it. And there shall in no wise enter into it anything that defileth, nor whatsoever worketh abomination or maketh a lie, but they that are written in the Lamb's book of life. Oh, yes. I love these promises here because this is the world that I want to live in. This is the one right here. This is the world that I hope for and I'm praying for. And I want this one to cease to exist, as the Bible says it will. And I want no more lies, not in myself or in the atmosphere. I want everything to be true and righteous. And the Bible promises that. And I believe it. But as you'll see, as I just told you, with regard to the slaves, it's not like that. I also have in the description box below, you can see another video. That first one I talked to you about with the slaves, it's a little long. It's about an hour and a half long, just to prepare you in case you thought it was a little one. But the next one is only 7 minutes or 8 minutes. This one is where a group of people who call themselves abolitionists. Isn't that interesting? They call themselves abolitionists, and what they do, they're law enforcement or former law enforcement officers, I think. But what they do is they search out children that are victims of sex trade, of the slavery sex trade, which goes on all over the planet Earth. It's a multi-billion-dollar business. And they rescue them. They rescue them from wherever they have been found. And they've been found all over the earth, as you can imagine. Different places where people have them locked up, holed up as little as 4, 2 years old to teenagers. Okay. Then there's another one, a third one, where there's a woman whose family sold her into sex slavery when she was 6 years old. And somebody in the industry helped her escape when they were about to kill her, because they usually, she said in life she lived in that world, by the time they were 12, they were killed. They were sacrificed by very wealthy people. Very powerful people would use them as a sacrifice. And she was about to be sacrificed, and somebody inside decided to save her. And that's how she got away. And she gave her testimony. I think her testimony was maybe 10 minutes long. It just gives you a glimpse to the things that goes on this planet. Okay? It gives you a glimpse. And I don't know about you, but I cannot be comfortable knowing that there's people that are suffering like that. And it's frustrating, of course, like I said, when we know we can't do nothing about it. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 24. Isaiah chapter 24. Isaiah 24. Is that what I want? Yes, it's Isaiah 24. Yeah. So prior to the establishment of the kingdom, and again, I apologize for my emotions. Some of this stuff really hits me hard, man. I'm just going to admit it does. But prior to the establishment of the kingdom that I just read to you in Revelation chapter 21, which is also Revelation chapter 22. Prior to that, there's going to be, and there is happening even now, upheavals upon the earth such as never happened before. As a matter of fact, the Bible says in Daniel chapter 12, verse 1, there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation. Now, we're already beginning the beginning stages of it right now. And how do I know this? Have you heard or have you noticed that the natural disasters that we're seeing, okay, the fires in the western part of the United States and in Australia, the hurricanes that we're seeing, some of those storms, the tornadoes that we're seeing, the diseases that we're seeing, are all happening at rates and with intensity that has never been seen before. Have you noticed that? These things are happening at rates and at intensity that's never been seen before. Have you noticed that? I can't speak of all the nations, but in the United States now, the school shootings are commonplace. They happen so often you don't even hear about them anymore. You know, when somebody walks into an elementary school or a high school, a kid usually, and starts killing people. That's happening so frequently now. It used to be big news when it happened at Columbine, 20-some years ago. It's not big news anymore. In fact, children are being taught how to react when somebody walks into their school with a gun. It's so common. Okay. So what we're seeing again is types of incidents and natural disasters and reactions of people and the level of hatred and anger in people. Like, for example, again, people that will kill their whole family. We're seeing that. Or, people that will kill an ex-boyfriend or girlfriend or their own husband or wife and then deny it after doing it, knowing that they did it. It happens so frequently now, you can hardly keep up with it. And the Bible talks about a time of trouble such as never was. You can see with all of the upheavals and the things that's going on the planet right now, and they're becoming more and more and more intense. We're going to that point very rapidly. We're going to that point very rapidly. Now, as that continues, the Bible also predicted that, and it also tells us that the Most High's reaction to it is to finish it. You see, all the things that are going on that I just described are designed. There are two sides fighting in this spiritual war. There's a dark side and there's a side of light. The dark side is a deceptive side. It's dark, but it's trying to point itself over as light. And it's deceptive. And the whole world is deceived. All of us have been deceived. If you do come to the light, it's because you've come out of darkness. If you do come to the truth, it's because you're coming out of a lie. And so both sides are fighting, and that's what's causing this upheaval. And you're going to see more of it. Isaiah chapter 24. Behold, Yahweh maketh the earth empty, and maketh it waste, and turneth it upside down, and scattereth abroad the inhabitants thereof. And it shall be as with the people, so with the priest, as with the servant, so with his master, as with the maid, so with her mistress, as with the buyer, so with the seller, as with the lender, so with the borrower. As with the taker of usury, so with the giver of usury to him. The land shall be utterly emptied and utterly spoiled, for Yahweh has spoken this word. The earth mourneth and fadeth away. The world languisheth and fadeth away. The haughty people of the earth do languish. Haughty. That's people who know stuff is bad for other people and don't care. You see, I remember, this is how I told y'all, the Most High has done a work with me, and I praise him for that. I still have a long way to go. But I remember back in the 80s and the 90s, my favorite movie, well, The Godfather is still one of my favorite movies. I ain't gonna front, but the other one was Wall Street, the original movie, Wall Street, because I wanted to be Gordon Gekko. I wanted to be Buck Fox. I wanted to be those guys. And I worked on Wall Street. I'm from New York, so it was a big deal to me, that movie. But during the course of the movie, Gordon Gekko makes a speech. And he says during the speech that greed is good. That's what he said. He said greed is good. He said greed for love. He said greed for goodness. He said greed is good. And what he did was lie, because he misrepresented what greed was. See, greed, brothers and sisters, is when I want something and you can't have it, or I want to get it so that I can control it and you can't have it. Like it's money. People could understand that. I want all the money I could get, even if it means you don't have any. I want all of it, and I want to control it so that I have the power. That's greed. See, love and righteousness, those are things that when you experience them, you want to share them. Greed is not so. You don't want to share anything when you're greedy. Okay? And greed, let's just for a second understand, this world is filled with greedy people. And let me tell you something. If the Most High was just to allow it to go on, honestly, it would destroy itself. Because greed is self-destructive. At the end of the day, a person cannot stop being greedy. That's why you have people that are billionaires and they don't have enough. They want more. They're billionaires and they want more. You have people that have power and they want more, because it's addictive greed and you cannot stop, and it will swallow you up. It's self-destructive. And if left to itself, as I said, it would destroy the planet. So when the Most High comes and destroys the planet, he's actually heading it off at the pass and mercifully putting it to rest. Because the Messiah did say, except he shortened the days, no flesh would be saved. Such is the condition that we live in on this planet. The other day, I'm very fortunate. You know, during the course of my life, we've all, especially when you're Black, you got a choice. Yeah, you got a choice. You can live where you can afford to live. And generally, where you can afford to live is a geopolitical red line district that's generally flooded with drugs and alcohol and things like that, where you can afford to live. Or you can live, there's a place that it is not redlined, that is not flooded with drugs and alcohol, but is way above your means to live there. Early in our marriage, my wife decided on B. Because I myself would have chose A because it was cheaper. And we only had one child at the time. And I thought, it's cheaper. I could save money. I don't know how many other people think like that. And she said, no, we'll pay a lot and live someplace safer. So we've always done that. We've always overpaid based on what we make in order to keep our kids in a safe place. So we got used to that. And so even now I'm living in a neighborhood that's it's not affluent, but it's definitely safe. Like you can walk at night anytime. There's lights everywhere, police everywhere, right? But I noticed this week the neighborhood watch. There's been several car break-ins in our neighborhood, which is surprising. And all of the people were scared because a lot of people leave their wallets in the car. Some people lock their doors, but now everybody's got to lock their door. And I told the people, it's not that people are bad. What you're seeing right now is desperation. About a month ago, right down the street from me, there was a house that was for sale. It's been for sale, and the people couldn't sell it. I mean, they're not able to get their price or whatever. And they found people living in there that they were squatting in there, and they had been there for like 6 months. Because you're seeing right now, and that's what I told people, you're seeing people who lost their job. Okay, the unemployment is either slow or it's not coming, and they're desperate. And when people are desperate, they do desperate things. When they're hungry, or when they have no place to stay, right? Or if they have children to feed, they'll do desperate things. In fact, in that house that was abandoned, that was for sale, nobody knew that they were squatting. There were children in there. They broke in through the back and they were staying in with their children. And you're going to see more of that. This is here in the United States, supposed to be the greatest country in the world. And here I am in a middle-class neighborhood, and this happened. And it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. Okay? It is what it is, my friends. Okay? Let's continue. The earth also, the Bible says, mourneth and fadeth away. The world languisheth and fadeth away. The hardy people of the earth do languish. The earth also, the Bible says, is defiled. The Bible says the earth is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, broken the ordinance, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. Therefore hath the curse devoured the earth. They that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men left. See, that's where we're headed. This earth has been defiled. See, it was never somebody might ask, well, where's God in all this? How come he allows this? Why does he allow all of these things? Why does he allow the sex trade? Why does he allow my uncle to die or my little boy to die when he was only 8 years old? Why does he allow that if he's God? And I tell people all the time, you don't really want to know the answer from the Bible. You don't. Because you won't believe it, what I'm about to tell you, but it's true. You know why people die young and there's cancer and there's sex slaves? You know why there's slaves and there's corruption on the earth? Do you know why? Because we chose it. That's why. When we invited sin on this planet, we decided we wanted that. When we decided we were going to be our own gods, that's what happened. You say, why does God allow it? Because we don't want him involved. That's why. People only think of the Most High when something bad happens to them. No, the Most High is choosing those that choose him. And listen very carefully. I want to make sure I get this to you. What I'm talking about is not white Jesus in somebody's Christian church. That is a made-up system. There's nothing in the Bible that talks about a white Jesus in somebody's Christian church. I want anybody to show me, where did the Messiah in the Bible say, I'm going to create this new religion called Christianity? I want you to please show me that. Because you know why? I've read the thing through 16 times, never read it. Please show me where Abraham said, I'm going to create this religion called Judaism. Because I've read the Bible too multiple times, never saw it. You know why? Because it doesn't exist. These are all man-made religions. You want to know why the Most High doesn't hear or what he allows? Because you don't want him. You don't want him. You want to make up your own God. That's why. Where is God, they ask. Well, the God that this world really chose is the one of darkness and deception. And that's why all these things are happening, because he's allowing it. He pushes it. And the true creator is with those that call upon him. What did I say? The true creator. What does that mean? For people that want the truth. You know what? It's not so easy to want the truth. No, really, because when I asked the Most High to show me the truth, man, it hurt. Because you know why? Because the truth hurt. You know why the truth hurt? Because this world is built on a lie, and we're used to believing lies. Let me just give you just a very simple example. Tell little kids there's no Santa Claus. Does that mean? If I said there ain't no Santa Claus, the presents came out my paycheck. You, is that mean or is that true? Ain't no such thing as an Easter bunny. Is that mean or is that true? You see what I'm saying? We're so used to living lies that when somebody speaks the truth, it's mean. And you know what? For myself, man, when he showed me the truth about me, about what I'm really like, but what I really look like in his sight, humbled me forever, man. Trying to tell you. That's why most people don't want truth. They don't want to face it. I know people, I know somebody always saying they want the truth. And then when we talk about truth, oh, my stomach hurts. Oh, I can't talk to you now. I got to go. Don't talk to me like that. My stomach hurts. Don't tell the truth. That's why. That's why these things are happening. Nobody wants truth, or very few. That's why the Bible calls them what? A remnant. And so, as I was feeling so helpless and calling on my God to say, please destroy this whole thing. I don't care if I got to be destroyed with it. Destroy the whole thing. Bring the kingdom of righteousness here. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of people that are slaves and sex slaves and slaves in fields and being taken advantage of by merchants. James. Notice the book of James. Let's start at verse chapter 4. James chapter 4. Beginning at verse 1. From whence come wars and fightings among you? Come they not hence even from your lusts that war in your members? Ye lust and have not. Ye kill and desire to have and cannot obtain. Ye fight and war, yet ye have not because ye ask not. Ye ask and receive not because ye ask amiss, that ye may consume it upon your lust. Look, brothers and sisters, most of the wars, no, let me be real. All of the wars that have been fought in the United States have been fought over money. All of them. You know, back in the days in the 1800s and 1700s, they were fighting over sugar. That's why I started looking at this thing. They were fighting over sugar because the sugar trade was the $1 billion trade. It going back to the day, it was a big time trade. And the plantation owners was saying slavery is righteous and slavery is the slaves are happy, and we got because they was getting rich off the slaves that was doing their sugar. The Civil War was fought because the South was making so much money off that cotton and off that tobacco, selling it to France and selling it to England and selling it to Spain off the back of them slaves. So much money was being made that they said, oh no, this is about states' rights. It was about what their pocketbook was saying. And the North wanted the money, but they wanted to be controlled. That's why Lincoln said, only reason he freed the slaves, he would have wanted to fight the Civil War without freeing the slaves. But he did it to save the Union, to preserve the Union. So he used the slaves to help him win against his cousins from the South. Okay. Then when the war killed 500,000 men died in the Civil War. That's more than any war the United States has ever fought in. 500,000 Americans died in the Civil War. I believe the Most High was trying to warn the Caucasian man, set my people free. Because I won't cause you to fight among yourself. Because the Bible does talk about that. At the end, the wicked going to fight each other. The Most High, when he returns, he's just going to interrupt the fight that you're having with each other. And you can see it again. You can see it. It's already started. Why do you think you got Democrats and Republicans each fighting for power? Liberals and conservatives. There's war going on all the way up to the top. They fighting for power, power and money. You know, and now what's the new sugar? They still got sugar, but they got a new sugar. We went to war for it twice already. It's called oil. 1990. George Bush Sr. Oh man, Saddam Hussein is wicked. We got to go attack him. They went out there for the oil. Then 10 years later, his son George didn't go out there for the oil. They called it the first name, right? And most people don't know this. The initial name of that second Iraq war was called Operation Iraqi Liberation. Wait, listen to me now. Operation Iraqi Liberation. What does that stand for? OIL. Oil. That's what they were fighting for. And do you know what's going on right now? You know, while we out here, you know, we look, this Afghanistan war, it's been going on for 20 years now. Do y'all realize that? And what you think? We can't win if we want to, or we can't stop if we want to. You know why it's going on for 20 years? What are they controlling out there? Poppy fields. What comes from poppy fields? Heroin. Come on now. I'm trying to tell you the truth. My son's a soldier. I ain't talking against the soldiers. Don't get it twisted. But they fighting for poppy fields, man. And natural gas that's in the Caspian Sea. Every war is fought for money. Everything else is just a smokescreen. This patriotism, the American flag wave, because you want to fight for your country. The soldiers get caught up in that. I get it. But it's a smokescreen. There's a few powerful Caucasian men at the top. And they cause you to go fight for this game, for this money. Go get this paper for them. That's what they're looking at. Go get this gold and this silver for me. Okay? It's what's going on. James chapter 5. James chapter 5. Now, okay, now James, just to give you a little background, his real name is Jacob, or Yaakov. That's his Hebrew name. Okay, and James and the man that they call Peter, who is Kapha, Shimon Kapha, right? Son of Jonah, or Shimon Kapha. These men were sent, just like Paul was sent to the Gentiles. These men were sent to the Hebrews. See, these letters are not written for Gentiles. These letters were written to fellow Hebrews, because these men were sent to the Hebrews with the message of the Hebrew Messiah. Okay, they were sent to the Hebrews that were first in Jerusalem and then scattered to what was then the world, which was Asia Minor, and going into Africa and all that. See, and so listen, this is the condition at the time, and this is all like first century stuff. So this is the condition at the time. James chapter 5. Tell me if this doesn't sound familiar to you. Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. For riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver is cankered. The rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasure together for the last days. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your field, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth. The cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Shabbath. Ye have lived in pleasure on the earth and been wanton. Ye have nourished your hearts as in the day of slaughter. Ye have condemned and killed the just, and he does not resist you. Does that sound familiar? See, this gives me hope. Really, it does. And the Bible says we're saved by hope. Because with these words, with the promises I read, I recount them, and it helps me. It really does. I praise the Most High. It helps me. Because it gives me hope to know that soon you and I are living in the end time. We're living in the time where we're actually going to see the result of all of these things. We're living in the time where with our own eyes, we're going to see Messiah. We're living at that time. And so, yes, it's going to get much worse. No, it's going to get much worse. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just trying to tell you the truth. It's going to get much worse. Okay. But it's a short time. It's going to be intense, but short. It's like, I like to do, you guys ever heard of high intensity, high interval intensity workouts, HIIT workouts? They're very intense, right? Like I work out, it may last me 20 minutes, but boy, when I'm done, I'm drenched in sweat and I'm ready to fall. You know what I mean? Because I'm worked out. It's only 20 minutes, but man, it's high intensity. Well, it's gonna be like that. It's gonna be real high intensity for about 7 years right here. But it's gonna be done soon after that. Okay, but it's gonna be really bad for this next 7 years. Okay, because the truth, the world don't want. Definitely the powers that are in control of this earth don't want. They definitely don't want that. Okay, but those of us that are seeking the truth, see, let me just explain to you. Everything that the devil does, okay, is a perversion of what his father did, the Most High. See, the Most High is the devil's father, but he rejected his father and he decided he wanted to take his father's place. You see, isn't that crazy? Imagine you trying to take your father's place, right? But that's what he did. And so he learned from his daddy and he perverts it. So you heard of the mark of the beast, right? Let me show you where he got that from. That scoundrel, he's about to be destroyed. And I praise the Most High, he's going to bring to an end that evil spirit that caused all this problem on the earth. Gonna bring it to an end. Now I want to show you where he got it from, because just like there's a mark of the beast, the Most High has a mark also. Did you know that? And it's not a computer chip. Neither of them are computer chip. Watch. This is an example from ancient Jerusalem back in the days of Ezekiel. Watch this. Ezekiel chapter 9, beginning at verse 1. Ezekiel chapter 9, beginning at verse 1. He cried also in mine ears with a loud voice, saying, cause them that had charge over the city to draw near, even every man with his destroying weapon in his hand. And behold, 6 men came from the way of the higher gate which lieth toward the north. Let me just explain what's going on. They're in Jerusalem. And Most High is showing himself to this prophet, this Ezekiel, this Levite, tribe of Levi, Israelite prophet, right? And he's at the temple because he's a priest. So he's at the temple. And he's showing them a vision. So he said, behold, 6 men came from the way of the higher gate which lies toward the north, and every man with a slaughter weapon in his hand. And one man among them was clothed with linen, with a writer's inkhorn by his side, and they went in and stood beside the brazen altar. Now, again, let me just explain. The brazen altar was an altar that was used to kill sacrifices. It was made out of brass. Okay, it was an altar that was in the court of the holy temple that was used to kill the sacrifice, that they would sacrifice evening and morning. Okay, so they had these 6 men with slaughter weapons in their hand, and the 7th man with a writing instrument. Right, so you got 6 men with slaughter weapons. That is what we would call them machetes. Okay, swords, and they're all by the slaughter, the altar of sacrifice. And the glory of the Most High of Israel was gone up from the chair whereupon he was to the threshold of the house. And he called the man clothed with linen, which had the writer's inkhorn by his side. So the Most High is calling the guy with the pen in his hand. Okay. And Yahweh said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst of. So he told the man with the ink pen, go through the city of Jerusalem, and everybody that's crying and sighing unto me about all these wickedness that's going on here, that wants it to end, put a mark on their head, on their forehead. Now you look at the mark, it says etching, but it wasn't a literal etching. It's a spiritual etching. It's a mark that only the Most High sees, because he knows those that are his. He knows those that hate what they see and want it to end and are calling on him to put an end to it. He knows those that are his. Put a mark on their forehead, he told the angel. What about the rest of the people that didn't have the mark? Notice what it says. And to the others he said in mine hearing, go ye after him through the city and smite. Let not your eyes spare, neither have ye pity. Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women, but come not near any man upon whom is the mark. And begin at my sanctuary. Begin at my sanctuary. That means with the religious people. You know, some of the biggest thieves and liars and hypocrites on this planet are religious people. Did you know that? The ones that's always asking you for your money. Oh, please support this ministry. It would not survive without. Meanwhile, they got 5 cars, living in 2 mansions. Some of them even got private jets. And people sending them a little $5. I knew old ladies, man, that live on Social Security were sending some pimp preacher, 10% of their little Social Security could barely buy food. Matter of fact, I used to work. One of the ministries I worked in, I've been blessed to work in a lot of ministries, prison ministries, food pantries, shelters, everything. I think I've done all that stuff. So one time I was working in a food pantry, and every month we would get food because we were a nonprofit. We would go to this place. It was like a place where all the supermarkets, the big chain supermarkets, would give their extra food to this place. So it was like a warehouse. And we would go in with we'd have to pay like $20. And we come out with like $400 or $500 worth of food. And we gave it away, right? And it'll be the end of the month, right? So every end of the month, there'd be a line out the door, because people knew we had the food at the end of the month. Okay, so there'll be a line out the door. And most of those people were living on Social Security or some sort of disability. They were most of them older people. There were some people with families that would come, but mostly there were people in their 60s and 70s and couldn't make it, couldn't pay their rent and eat off their Social Security. Okay, and some of them were giving money to pastors. Can you believe that? Some of them were giving money to churches, man. And they'd be at our door in the back at the end of the month getting food from us. I'm glad to give it, but it's just how could those pastors take money from them people, man? But you know what? They do it. They do it all the time. Every single day, 7 days a week, 24/7. They do it. And they the ones, he said, begin at my sanctuary. They're going to catch it first, and they deserve it. They deserve it. I can't wait to see it. See, I'm not feeling sorry for them. I'm not feeling sorry for no rich person. I want them to all be destroyed. Not because I'm righteous. I want if he needed to destroy me to end it, destroy me too. I just want this thing to end, man. Can't get too worked up. Y'all see. So, the Bible talks about the 144,000. Okay? Now, I want to show you first. I want to just review very quickly. The book of Revelation actually shows us how the Father in heaven gets his message to the people. How he gets his message to the people. He does it through a specific people, his chosen ones. Notice how it works. And it's really very plain, but this is Revelation chapter 1, verse 1 and 2. But actually, I'm gonna go 1, 2, and 3. But it's how all prophecy works. Okay. The Most High say, surely Yahweh will do nothing, but he revealeth his secret to his servants, the prophets. Okay. I'm an Israelite. I'm a descendant of slaves. The Bible shows us in both Leviticus chapter 26 and Deuteronomy chapter 28, as well as many other places, but those are the two marked ones that most of us realize that help us while awaken, that these descendants of slaves are the true chosen people. And then there's other ones that tell us that there will be fake people from the sons of Japhet that try to act like they us. You see that happening already? It says the real Israelites will have chains on their neck and be taken into ships. It says they'll live in places where they're the tail and not the head, that they never could get ahead, that they'll have more diseases on them than the other people, that more of them be in jail than other people. Do you know in the United States there's 2 million people in jail? 2 million people in jail. Do you know that? And did you know in the United States there's 600,000 people in jail that have never been charged with a crime, never been convicted? They're just holding there because they can't afford a lawyer. 600,000. Do you know there's another 600,000 that are in jail for nonviolent crimes? You know, I once had another ministry. I was in a prison ministry for a number of years. You want to know how that prison ministry ended? You want to know how it ended? Well, the Most High really ended it. But at the end, there was a man. I met this man. There were many like him, but I guess I just had it with this one. I mean, this man had a wife, 2 children. This was back in the early 2000s. Had a wife, 2 children, and he was dealing cocaine and marijuana. Okay. He got caught for the 3rd time with about half an ounce of cocaine. And actually, it was a small amount of marijuana. I don't even think he had an ounce of marijuana. But because it was his 3rd offense, this man was looking at 15 years in jail. He had never had a gun. All his crimes were for selling marijuana and cocaine on the street. He was looking at 15 years. Whatever 150 months is. What's 150 months? Yeah, it's like 15 years. His wife and his children would be grown by the time he got out. Okay. Nonviolent crime. Now, there's murderers and rapists, child molesters that need to be in jail. Believe me, I've seen them too. But guys like that, I mean, first of all, we already told you the poppy seeds are out there in Afghanistan. These brothers on the street can't go to Afghanistan and get them poppy seeds and make it into cocaine. How'd that get here? Who are the big dealers? How come we not catching them? Guys on the street trying to feed their family, them the ones going to jail for 15 years? Really? So I decided to go to this man's sentencing hearing. That's all. I wanted to go to the hearing to support him. And because I went to the hearing to support him, the warden of the prison and the guards were very angry at me. He called me and he said, if you ever do that again, you will never come back in here. Don't you ever go to court for them scum. That's what he said. I didn't even say anything. I just went there to be moral support for the brother. And when they found out I went to the hearing, now anybody in the public could go, threaten the whole ministry. That's how corrupt this system is. You know why? Because that was just a county jail I went to. That's where I was going every week. A county jail in New Hampshire, a little state New Hampshire, right? But in that little county jail, it was a private jail. They were getting $20,000 a year for every head that was in there. It's a money thing. What was I doing threatening their money by even showing up at a hearing for a brother? See how corrupt this situation is? And that's a small scale. I done already told you about slavery, sex trade, prison industrial complex, just in this little thing. And I'm only touching just the surface of what's happening on this planet. Okay. Revelation chapter 1, verse 1. The revelation, I'm going to read it just like it says in the King James so that some of y'all can understand. Because if I use his true name, Yahweh Shah Mashiach, or Yahweh, some of y'all might get confused, right? The revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave unto him to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass. And he sent and signified it by his angel unto his servant John. Let me stop right there. Notice what it said. It said, this book is a revelation of Jesus Christ. It's a revelation of the Messiah, a revealing of the Messiah. But did the Messiah give this revealing of himself? No, the Bible says his Father, God gave it to him, which God gave unto him. So this revealing of the Messiah, his Father gave him. Imagine it now. Father says, Son, I'm going to give you a revelation of yourself. Right? And he sent an angel, right? He sent and signified it by his angel. So Messiah turns around and tells his angel, take this message that my Father gave me about myself to the earth. By his angel unto his servant John. Take it to my servant John. Okay, so the Father gives it to the Messiah gives it to an angel, and an angel gives it to the prophet. It happens like that all over the Bible. Okay, so whenever you see in Revelation, which we're going to see in a minute, angels coming with messages, what that's representing is the Father sending a message from Messiah that's going to his servants. What happens when the servant gets it? Verse 2. Who bear record, sent it by his angel unto his servant John, who bear record of the word of God and of the testimony of Jesus Christ and of all the things which he saw. Okay, so now the servants receive this by the spirit of an angel, which originates with the Father through Messiah. And the servants bear witness of what they've received. Okay, now in these last days, there's a special group of Hebrews being raised up. It's already started. They're 144,000. And they are going to receive and are receiving a message from the Father through the Messiah by an angel with the Spirit of the Father to bear witness. Okay? Okay, we'll talk more about that. Verse 3. Blessed is he that readeth, and they that hear the words of this prophecy, and keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand. Now we've already saw in the book of Revelation already. We've already saw liars ain't allowed in the kingdom. Liars are not wanted. Therefore, obviously, it's obvious. The Most High wants people that are interested in truth, because the Most High cannot lie. So what he's given is truth, and he wants people that want truth. Now, I've already showed you. Truth hurts when you live in a whole atmosphere all your life that's filled with lies. Truth hurts when the whole world in which we all live, the whole system is founded on lies. That when somebody comes with truth, people ain't going to like that. First of all, powerful people ain't going to like it because it's going to expose their game. And above them, their father, their God, our Satan ain't going to like it because it exposes him. He don't want to be exposed. You want to know why you never see him? Even his trusted servants that really, like when you talk, listen, when you're a billionaire, you don't become a billionaire in this world because you're just an honest, hard worker, because you lift yourself up by your bootstraps. No. Our Satan determines who. The Bible says the devil gives him power, seat, and great authority. You all of a sudden see somebody that was on the street. You know, one day, I'm from New York, right? If you're from New York, you're going to know what I'm saying is true, right? Especially if you're a male, okay? I'm a guy, and I used to work downtown. If you're a guy like me, and I was a young man, a single young man, there is no better place in the world at lunchtime than New York City. The most beautiful women in the world are there, especially in the summer and the spring. Oh my gosh. The most beautiful ladies in the world are there. So one day it just came to me. I was like, I saw a picture at the time back when I was young. You know, Madonna was the big thing. She's an old lady now. She also is a true Satan worshiper. But she was a big thing. And I saw pictures of her and I was like, like if you go to New York at lunchtime, there's 1,000 girls that look better than Madonna. I'm sure can sing better than Madonna. And I didn't understand. Why is it she was the one that's all of a sudden this superstar? I mean, I see 1,000 Madonnas every day. I didn't understand it until I got into this book right here. Then I understood. Satan chooses his. And he exalts his. Why does he do that? Because he wants people to think these people are like gods or goddesses, so people will worship them, people will adore them, people will just dream about being them. Because in doing so, you're giving praise to the one that founded that doctrine that man could be God, the devil himself. You see big time people, whatever, whether they be in entertainment or business or politics, and they glorified and you can't just do that because you just smart, went to school and worked hard. Not on that level. That's our Satan's blessing. Okay. You got a lot of that on this planet. So when truth is revealed, they're all stirred up. They're all stirred up. 144,000 are not going to have any money. They're not going to be rich people. They're not going to be famous people. They're going to be like the apostles. Remember the apostles? The Bible says that the scribes and Pharisees, the ones that were the leaders of the religious movement at that time that had all the money, they looked at the apostles and they said they could see they were unlearned and ignorant men. Unlearned and ignorant men. See, they weren't nobody, just like 144,000. They ain't nobody, but the message they bear of truth with the power given by a spirit that nobody can understand is going to bother the wealthy and powerful. I mean, just think about it. We've had people in this country, even in the recent history, that weren't wealthy and powerful, but were snuffed out because they were threats to the power structure. Right? You heard Fred Hampton. The boy was 20 years old when they cut him down. 100 bullets into his apartment, kill him. And he's right next to his pregnant wife. Why? Because he was organizing the Black Panthers, a political organization, and he was a threat to the power structure. Why do you think they killed Malcolm X? Threat to the power structure. And neither Malcolm X was penniless when he was murdered. So was Fred Hampton. They had no money, but they were a threat to lies. Well, we're living in a time where the 144,000 will be the biggest threat in history to the power structure. And the difference between them and the brothers I just named, the Most High is not going to allow those things to happen to them because this is it. This is the end. And the message has to go out. Okay, it's a message of warning. So when you hear the Revelation, which we're going to read right now in Revelation chapter 18, when you see an angel in the book of Revelation, what it's representing is a message come from the Father through Messiah that's going to the servants that's going to proclaim this message for the earth. Okay, watch. Revelation chapter 18, beginning at verse 1. Watch this. And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with its glory. That's very important. See, so an angel, we already saw, an angel is coming. That means that angel has a message that was given to that angel from Messiah, who received that from his Father. And this angel is filled with power. What is that power? That's the Father's Spirit. Father's Spirit is always represented by power. Okay. So he comes to the earth to deliver this message to servants, who are the 144,000 in these last days. Okay. And they are going to proclaim this message. Notice it said, and the earth was lightened with his glory. So this is going to be a message that's worldwide. Let me also explain this. Do you realize that the Messiah and John the Baptist were cousins, and that they only met once in their entire life? So they were cousins on the day of Messiah's baptism. They didn't meet again after that. After that, John was arrested and beheaded. Well, the 144,000 will very rarely meet each other. Be scattered all over the earth. And wherever they are, they're going to bear this message. And wherever they are, their lives are going to be in danger, as those that follow the message. Because it's truth. It's not about money. It's not about position. It's about the glory of the Father alone. Alone. And that is a threat to an earth that's built on lies. Always will be, always has been. And so being that this is the end, you're going to get the biggest skirmish ever. That's why it says in Daniel 12:1, a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation. That's where we're headed. That's already begun. Like I said, when you see these upheavals, we're already seeing the fires, the tornadoes, the hurricanes. You're seeing it. They say global warming, okay, whatever you want to call it. But it's the highest level of intensity. Not just that, you talk about people walking in stores and yelling and getting mad and police killing people and people getting so angry that they pull over and start shooting each other. What they call that? Road rage. People killing their whole families. These things are normal. Then all of a sudden you got the sex slave I talked to you about. The sex slave trade. Well, look at those. Look at those links I put in the description, man. You won't believe it. But it's true. I've seen many testimonies like this. I just brought this one up I'm sorry I didn't do it before. Okay. Then there's, the sex slave, then there's slaves, then there's, people in corporate power that's watching people out here get so desperate they breaking into houses and cars and breaking into empty houses for sale just to get a roof over their head, just to try to get a few dollars. And people in power don't care. They don't care. See, in the United States, what has gone on over the last 40 years, really, it's been intensified over the last 40 years. What people don't realize, it started in the 80s. I mean, the whole thing didn't start in the 80s, but this part started in the 80s. In the 80s, there was this call for what they call productivity. And what they did on the business side in the 80s is you started seeing middle management disappear. So people that was like 50 at that time, I remember I was working in a bank, and people that was like 50 at the time were being laid off from big corporations. There was just upper management and lower. There was no more middle management. Okay, and it was, and that was like everyone was going to know what was going on, and they were downsizing the companies to become more efficient. They, at the time, they actually marketed it by calling it lean and mean. That's what they used to call it, lean and mean. So like when you got to 50, it was dangerous at that time because they were going to lay you off because you're making too much money. I saw it. I was in a bank, I was only in my 20s, and it was, and they announced, that there was going to be a mass layoff at the bank I was at. And I was like, oh shoot. And I thought, because in my mind, because my father worked in like a trade union type of place where, the people that were there the longest had the seniority and the people that were just coming in didn't. So I thought, man, I just started, they're going to lay me off for sure. So, but they didn't. They kept me. I was one of the few that stayed, and they laid off all the people that was like in their 50s that were making the bigger money. And I realized what was going on. They had one guy that I worked with. They replaced him with two guys like me, and the combination of the two guys made less than him. That's what they were doing. Then in the 90s, what they did, the labor, the people that manufactured things, were now going to Mexico and Philippines and Vietnam and Thailand and India, right? All these places, because they're working for pennies on the dollar, right? So now you had left in the United States a management class and a service class, right? So you got a lot of restaurants, stores like Walmart, Amazon, that's a service, your service class. Then you got the management class, right? Your tech people and all your upper level managers, and everybody else, well, you just, whatever. That's what it's coming down to. Okay, that's what it is. Revelation chapter 18. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, verse 2, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, is become the habitation of devils, and the hole of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. So there's a warning given. This is coming from the 144,000. Separate from Babylon. Don't worry, the morning message is not given you. Somebody said, well, is that given now? No, not yet. You'll know when it's given. You know why? Because that is at the same time where they announce you can't buy or sell unless you're in a certain position, in a certain situation. This is at the same time the mark of the beast is given. So at this time, you're going to have to make a decision whether to opt out of the system that's telling you got to choose to be in it or opt out of it. They're going to make you choose. You're going to either be in this system or you're going to opt out of it. If you opt out of it, you got no job, you got no house, you got no mortgage, you got no rent, you got no car, you got no bank account, you got nothing but the clothes on your back if you opt out. And that message of warning is given, telling the people, this, what you're going to be seeing at that time, is the mark of the beast. And get out of this system, which is going to sound crazy to people because they're saying, you're asking me to give up my job, my savings, my life. For what? For the truth. And let me tell you this very plainly. Everybody is going to know what the people that are opting out are saying is true. It's going to be a conviction power from the Spirit. You ever know when somebody's speaking something is true and you don't want to believe it, but you know it's true and it's bothering you? Come on, be honest. It's true, but it bothers you. That's how truth does. You hear something that bothers you, right? It's true, but you don't like it because it's upsetting your apple cart. Well, this is going to happen on a worldwide scale. And the people that hear this message are going to know that it's true. But in the face of it, they got to decide. Are they ready to give up everything? That's what it's going to come down. See, right now, you can receive the truth in your house right now and nobody cares. Nobody's going to know, right? But then it's going to be known. You're going to either be in the system or opt out of the system. Let me give you an example of how it worked. It's happened already, but not the way it's going to happen then, but just a little example. In Nazi Germany, 1930s, okay? I did courses in that, and I studied books on it. Nazi Germany in 1930s, you had to be part of the Nazi party. Once it was in the height of its power, see, at first, you don't have to be. But then, if you weren't part of the Nazi party, you was looked upon under suspicion. Why aren't you part of the party? Maybe he was underground, working against Hitler, working against the party. And many people lost their lives because they didn't join the Nazi party. They opted out of the system. Okay? Many people. It wasn't just Jews. Lots of people opted out and were put to death, sent to concentration camp. Same thing happening now in China. Happening right now in China. If you better be part of the Communist Party. If you're not part of the Communist Party, you're under suspicion. See? Don't worry. It's going to come to the United States too. It's going to come everywhere. That's what this mark of the beast is about. See? So now you're going to be looked upon with suspicion. Because to be part of the party, to be part of the system, is to receive the mark of the beast. To opt out of it is to receive the truth of Yah and his seal and his approval. You won't have any help from people. You got to make that decision. Okay? So this warning is given as an advance warning to let the people know plagues are about to fall. Notice Revelation chapter 18, verse 5. Well, let me start at verse 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, that ye receive not of her plagues, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and Yah hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works. In the cup which she hath filled, fill to her double. How much has she glorified herself and lived deliciously? Isn't that happening? So much torment and sorrow give her. For she said in her heart, I said, a queen. And am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine. And she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Most High Yah, who judges her. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar for the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city, Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn and over her, for no man buys their merchandise anymore. You see, when the plagues from the Most High comes, it's not going to be anything man can do. It's going to be destructive plagues that's going to bring an end to the system. And the system, nobody going to care about buying stuff then. See, the Most High is almost telling y'all. He's saying, oh, you want to stop people from buying and selling? Let me stop all of y'all. Let me just put this whole system down. Because when he put them plagues out, that's what's going to happen. Okay? He put them plagues out, that's what's going to happen. Whole system shut down. Everybody's going to try to go on, just like we do, try to go on as normal. And disaster happening all around. I can go further and tell you what's going to happen next, but I'm not going to. I just wanted to put this out there. I want to impress upon the minds of the people that's listening to me how ugly this world really is. And what's happening in this world to people, to millions of people right now. And my hope and my desire is for you to seek the Creator for truth, even if it hurts, even if it's ugly. Because that truth is going to save people. That's what saves people. The truth shall make you free. And I pray that the Most High causes you to receive truth from him, to receive his spirit. And to when it comes to your turn, because you're going to live through it, most of you are going to see it, that you'll be ready to stand firm and out of this system when they force you to choose between the system and the truth. May the Most High bless you.